Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. In the last part, we got here to the Dark World after defeating Aghanim, and now we're going to check this place out a little bit. First off, here at the Pyramid of Power, go over here for piece of part number 12, and with that we actually have half the heart containers. Now actually a bit of a background information for you guys here. I'm doing something a bit different for this game. Up to now, in my LPs and in this Let's Play also actually, now I think about it, I've recorded each part individually. This time I'm doing something a bit different. I've actually recorded the rest of the game for here on out, just to give that approach a shot. It'll be harder to remember what I need to talk about at a given point, but oh well. Let's give it a shot, shall we? Now, where the Witch's Hut was in the Light World, here in the Dark World there's actually just a generic store that you can buy some bombs, arrows, and a shield at, I believe. Nothing too good. However, we do want to go to the place where Zora's domain was in the Light World, because there's something we can get there, and we're going to need it eventually, so we might as well. By the way, absolutely love the Dark World theme. Especially the remix in Brawl, that was really good. I think this place is technically called the Lake of Ill Omen or something like that. By the way, let's read the sign. Curses to anyone who throws something into my circle of stones. Let's throw something into his circle of stones. Whoa, what the... Oh. A catfish. Was it you who disturbed my peaceful nap? I'll give this to you if you go away. And to go along with the legend of catfish, we get the Quake Medallion. Its magic causes the ground to shake and defeats nearby enemies. Watch your magic meter. It's pretty much another screen nuke. And now I'm actually cutting back to near the Pyramid of Power because... convenience. The Quick Medallion I'll only ever be using once because it's not very useful, honestly. Actually, no, I think I used it twice. There's actually a little place where Sahasralas used to be in Light World. You can go there and get some rupees, pretty much. It's the building to the left of us. I'll actually be starting the next part by exiting that place. Either way, welcome to where the Dark Palace is, which is where we're directed to go. Pretty much the equivalent to the Easter Palace. Now, the way this area works is, as you can see, there's various entrances and exits to these little grassy patches. The way you can tell what path you can walk along is dependent on where the slightly, what's the term? Translucent areas of the grass is. Like, I can enter here and follow the path around. Like so. It's not too hard once you get the hang of it, but it caught me off guard the first playthrough. I'm Kiki, the monkey Kiki. I love rupees more than anything. Can you spare me 10? Sure, that's nothing too bad. Kiki! Good choice. I'll accompany you for a while. Kiki! I think this monkey actually got referenced later on in Link's Awakening. Which would make sense, actually, because this is technically the same Link from that. And welcome to the Dark Palace. Kiki! If you give me 100 rupees, I'll open the entrance for you. Kiki! You need to do this. That's why I grinded for 110 rupees off screen. Because without him, you can't enter the Dark Palace. I find this incredibly stupid. But oh well. Either way, welcome to the first of the Dark World dungeons. The Dark Palace. This is technically where the game begins. Similar to Ocarina of Time would later do, the first 3 dungeons are pretty much just training for the real things. And I'll tell you for a fact now, if you might recall back in the Desert Palace, I accidentally forgot the map. From now on, I'm pretty much going to be skipping as many of those items as I'm pretty much going to. Because I want to complete these dungeons as fast as possible. Not because of a time limit or anything, just because I like... It's pretty much the closest thing to a speedrun I can do with this game that's not the early game glitches. Which I might show off at the end of the LP, I don't know. Because the final part is only 12 minutes long on its own. And I like my videos to be around a good 15. Either way, in terms of enemies here, we got the Helmasaurs, which you can only hit from the sides and back. We got those stupid turtles, which we can't do anything about. We got jellyfish, which zap you. And some pretty basic stuff otherwise. We cannot deal with these turtles for a while, so just pay them no mind. But step on the switch to get a small key. Sadly, though, unlike Zelda 1, because there are a surplus of keys overall throughout the game, if you know which path to take, sadly, keys do not carry over. Also, I could technically take that path there, that warp back downstairs, And that'll lead me to a path that'll eventually lead me to the dungeon map, I think it is, but it's not worth it in the long run. Also, like with the rest of the game, so far at least, I'm gonna be very reckless and be at low HP a lot. That's why I'm glad I keep a stock up of fairies. In fact, I recommend you do that because having fairies in this game is pretty useful. And in here, we get the big key. Honestly, I really do like the way that I'm gonna say this probably throughout the entire game from here on out. The Dark World dungeons are designed very well, because there's a lot of speed technique you can do as long as you know part of the layouts, whereas in some Zelda games, even the ones I really like, some of the dungeons can take forever, even if you know them. I immediately think of Majora's Mask. As much as I love that game, some of those dungeons can take a while, especially Stone Tower Temple. And don't even get me started on Twilight Princess. Although, as you've noticed, we've actually looped around to this area a couple times now. That's actually completely intentional on my part because my specific path is fast, and I don't know why I was hesitating there. I think I was trying to either explain something or otherwise. Those little Medusa bombs, or Medusa boxes there, shoot fireballs at you, but our red shield can block them, so they're no real threat. And for some reason, they're also called Medusa blocks. This is something that took me a while to figure out my first playthrough. Wherever there's an arrow like that, you can actually jump down. It's very much like the 15-second, complete the path in 15 seconds or less minigame we did to get an early game piece of heart. You do need to dash in that room, though, because the floor does start falling, and it will catch up with you. And for some reason, the sound effect still plays into this room. Either way, in here we get the compass. Really, though, the compass isn't that useful in this game. It got useful in Link's Awakening when they added the feature of not only being able to detect when you're in a room with a key, but also, I think that's when they added the possibility of it showing you treasure chests. I don't think it does that in this game. I think you just have to have been in the room to see the treasure chests on the map. Don't quote me on that, though, because I'm no expert on this game. Anyway, in this room, it's odd, because you're technically required to come in here to get a key. They actually put a lot of rupees, which is odd, because they usually save that for bonus rooms. Not that I'm complaining, I'm gonna need rupees. A lot of them, actually. Because there's one side quest in this game, no, two actually, that can take you forever if you don't have good luck. And I don't like luck-based games. It reminds me a lot of A Link Between Worlds with the stupid baseball game. If I ever LP Link Between Worlds, I am not looking forward to having to do that because that is the entire reason. Well, actually, no, I still 100% of the game nonetheless, but that is the thing that took me the longest, is that stupid baseball game. Either way, we have a small key, but we're not going to use it on that door to the south. Because that is a pointless path that loops around to somewhere we've already been, which wastes time and the key. So we're going to head over here and use it on the left door. Anyway, and here we got some Kadangos, which go down in one strike with the Master Sword, which actually I haven't noticed, by the way. The Master Sword also, I think, doubles our range, which is pretty good. We get some bombs. Honestly, I can see why they start putting them all over the place in optional chests, because if you have the default 30, it's the default 10, I think it is. It's very easy to run out of bombs. Which, I have to take points away from the game from that, because they could have given us a lot more to start off with. But it was the first time they actually tried to do bombs like this. Because, I'm trying to think how... Zelda 1 did bombs in a fairly similar fashion, but they were much more limited in terms of how you got them. Link's Awakening onwards would be the one where you have a certain amount of bombs at any given time still, but they were very accessible. And in here we get the magic hammer. We can drive the wooden stakes down into the ground. You can use it to pound on other things too. This is the dungeon item. It's actually one of the best items in the game. By the way, I'm using the magic mirror to warp back to the start of the dungeon, which is something I mentioned that we could do with it back in the Tower of Hera. Now, the hammer is very short range. However, it is actually a very powerful weapon. It's actually able to kill a lot of enemies in one shot at this point. And it also allows us to flip these guys over, which I actually thought I was going to use the hammer there. Just when I did that. Maybe I should start going back. Maybe I should actually not do the whole thing of playing the entire game through, then commentating over it. Either way, it allows us to flip the turtles over and actually damage them. And we want to head down here where all these hard hat beetles are. That's their name. And not get knocked into the bottomless pit, because the bottomless pits actually deal damage in this game, which they actually do in some games, a lot of the time actually. But in this game, it's a lot more costly because it does a full heart. In some games, it only do like half a heart or something. Because if it's not clear at this point, this game shares something with Zelda 1 in that each heart is technically 2 hits. It was Link's Awakening, I think it was, that started the whole each heart is 4 hits. Either way, in this room, we got the first switch, as far as I can recall, that you need to keep something on in order to keep it open. So we need to push one of the statues onto it. I think it could be any of the 4 statues, but I choose that one because it's the closest. And here we got a Zelda staple enemy, the Garayas. However, in this game, they work a bit differently than they did in Zelda 1, where they just threw boomerangs at you. They're mimics, essentially. They'll do the exact opposite motion that you will. The red ones, however, when they face you, will shoot lasers at your face. So be careful. However, as far as I can recall... No, actually, no, our red shield can't block them. Then something else can. And this is a pretty stupid puzzle. Shoot an arrow at this thing's eye. It's pretty obvious you have to do that, I'll give it that, but it's kind of stupid that you have to do that now because it's the first time you have to do it. But then again, I suppose that's why they make it look kind of easy to look like you can do that, because it's the first time you have to do it. I think it's the only time, too, now that I think about it. And these mole things, I don't think we've actually seen these things before. You could have, I believe, but they're how you can smash them down with the hammer, essentially. Well, I know for a fact we've seen them before in the dungeon, but I forget if we've seen them before that. The thing about the Dark World dungeons that I actually really like is that some of them are very short, and some of them are actually completely interchangeable. I can do these in a completely bass-backwards... Actually, yeah, bass-backwards order. Is that actually a term, bass-backwards, or is that just something that my family's done? Okay, I'm getting real tired of these turtles, by the way. Watch out for the turtles, because they do hurt. In fact, Link, in Link to the Past, due to his fairly low health compared to other ones, with the only, 2 hits per heart thing, is actually one of the weakest Links in the series in terms of how much damage he can take, because a lot of the enemies deal out really decent amounts. It doesn't help that I'm incredibly reckless. One thing I can say about this game, though, while I am incredibly reckless, the game controls well for that. There's many playstyles, be it conservative, reckless, a lot of stuff you can do. I like that. And once you get here, you're pretty much set, because the boss is right in front of us. Let's see who we got here. The boss of this dungeon is the Helmasaur King. There's a couple strategies you can take to this guy. First off, you have to break off his mask, which I think you can either use bombs for or the hammer. The hammer, however, is the much easier method. Attack-wise, first off, he has spikes behind him, which hurt. He'll shake his tail at you, which can also really hurt. And later on in the fight, he'll shoot a ball, which is split up into 4 other balls, which also hurts a lot. Helmasaur King is a surprisingly damaging boss. And once he loses his mask, he's pretty easy. It takes 8 sword strikes or arrows to defeat. And obviously, I am a bit too reckless. But he's not a very hard boss. He's the first real boss of the game, so yeah. I like his design, though. In the manga, they actually changed something to the point where all these bosses were actually people who found themselves in the Dark World and are transformed by their personalities like we were into a rabbit. I like that detail. Then again, the manga also had a completely unique character. I forget her name, but she was pretty much a queen of thieves, as it kind of was. Very interesting character, though. I liked it a lot. And our reward for beating the dungeon is actually pretty much the soul of one of the 7 wise men's descendants. Link, because of you, I can escape from the clutches of the evil monsters. Thank you. This world used to be the Golden Land where the Triforce was hidden. But because Ganon, the boss of thieves, wished it, the world was transformed. I'm sure he's intending to conquer even our light world after building his power here. He's trying to open a larger gate between worlds near the castle using our powers. But the gate is not open yet completely. If we 7 maidens come together, we can break the barrier around Ganon's hiding place. I'll tell you where the other girls are being held. I believe you will destroy Ganon. I'll return to my original form at that time. Do you understand? Yes. May the way of the hero lead to the Triforce. So that's our quest for the Dark World. Rescue the 7 maidens. And let's take a look at where all the dungeons are. Oh god, they're spread all over the place. Great. But with that, I'm gonna need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 8, we will be heading towards the next dungeon, but not before doing some small side quest stuff if I recall. See you guys then.